Healthy men want their rivals to succeed and their enemies to die. Toxic men is the opposite. They want their rivals to die and their enemies to succeed. Sometimes, if I was being nicer, I'd say there would be no distinction between their enemies and rivals, but I think the first quote is actually more right. When I work with people who have some fixed mindset, as in they are very, very scared of being vulnerable, being open, being true to themselves, being authentic. A lot of times it's like they have this facade of competence or success or ability with trying to fight against any insecurity, any anxiety, any depression, any self-judgment. And it's like, if I'm competing with one of my friends for a certain position or a romantic partner or a job or the crown, whatever the crown is, and there's only one crown, and my friend wins, I hate that guy. It's like, that sounds pretty toxic. It's like, suddenly this friend is no longer a friend, it's an enemy. Suddenly this person who should be your boy, and you should say buona fortuna, you're like, no, this guy sucks and I hate him forever. Like, right. What's going on here? Well, a lot of times it's the fixed mindset. It's the idea that I not only have to succeed, all other people need to fail. Or, hey, if someone else is going for the crown that I'm going for, I need them to fail. If someone else wins it, it means I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. And it's like, right, that sucks. That's a really personalized take on that. If you have the growth mindset, it's more like, I'm frustrated and I'm jealous and maybe even just a little bit angry. But that's my boy up there. Maybe if it's not even your boy. Maybe it's some guy you personally hate. You're like, man, I hate that guy. But he won fair and square. And I learned some stuff. I now know I need to train harder, stronger, learn new techniques, approach this from a different way. Maybe go to your fancy counselor at Shadow Diver Counseling for some strategic planning. It's like, right, this is an attempt to get better. And even if you hate your rival, you can say, this is a person who makes me a better human being. Us running together makes me a better runner. Us competing for the same job makes me a better job seeker, gives me better skills in my career. Or at the very least, I'm able to observe the person and be like, all right, I need to take on some of his characteristics or his behavior if I want to win, or at least win in the way he's doing it. That's perfectly fine. If you're healthy, you want to succeed, but secondary to that, you want your rival to succeed. If you're unhealthy, if you're toxic, maybe the idea is like, nah, this guy's got to fail or else I'm going to feel like crap. Now, there's a few different aspects to this. Let's start with Feet of Clay. Feet of Clay is a Bible verse from the book of Daniel. I'm going to read this to you if I can find the thing. Your Majesty looked, and there before you stood a large statue, an enormous, dazzling statue, awesome in appearance. The head of the statue was made of pure gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of baked clay. While you were watching, a rock was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and smashed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were all broken to pieces and became like chaff on a threshing floor in the summer. Winds swept them away without leaving a trace. But the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. Now, this is actually, the theologists among you would say, Steve, this is actually about Daniel doing a prophecy, a multi-generational prophecy about the ending of this one nation. That's like, yeah, I know. But the idiom feet of clay means you look really good on the outside, but internally, at your feet, you are easily destroyable. It's a flaw, a hidden flaw usually, that could be your downfall. You see this with the lifestyle and the influencer people who rent a jet, not even take it out, but just rent it to film inside. And you have some actress pretending to be a barista or, the in-flight service crew, and you have like, I don't know, gold chains and caviar that you just rented for like an hour so you can film your influencer crap. And it's like, right, you're not only conveying a materialistic image, you're conveying a materialistic image that doesn't exist. Like, say what you want about the materialistic influencers who are like trying to sell you Rolexes and crap. A lot of them are actually rich. A lot of them are actually being able to say, I did do business for 20 years and sleepless nights and hours doing door-to-door sales, and now I'm like actually, rich in my mansion or something. It's like, okay, fair enough. I don't really respect that kind of hustle, but I respect the idea that at least it's aligned internally and externally. But then you see the opposite, where it's like, I see the Rolex, I see your fly suits, I see your car is fire, I see the girl on your arm is gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure if I poke you, you will start crying and won't stop. There seems to be a misalignment between what I'm seeing internally and externally. What's actually going on here? Why do I have to play act? Why do I have to win at everything, and why do I have to show that I'm a winner? Because the entire idea of Feet of Clay is that your flaws are hidden. I, Steve Mollura, was always the person who was picked last in gym class. I was the person who was socialized badly, who was told you have to be different than who you are in order to be loved. I was told you had to be inhuman and perfect in order to go to heaven and avoid going to hell. I was recently told actually, by certain family members that you're too fat to be loved by a woman. This is why I never talk to certain people. It's like, right, the things that you're told, the messaging you get, the rejection you get, you have to change who you are in order to be loved, in order to feel acceptance, in order to feel safety. If you don't get that, you will attempt to change yourself. And worst of all, you'll attempt to change yourself from the outside in. As soon as I become some combination of Superman, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Jesus Christ, then and only then can I actually relax and feel safe. Once I'm perfect enough and so good, then I'll be lovable. Then that voice in my head that says I'm never good enough will finally shut the hell up. Brutal. Brutal, huh? Now, if you want a good book on this, I highly suggest Carol Dweck, Mindset. I read the second edition of that book called Mindset. Really, really good. Fixed versus growth mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, your traits are and characteristics are intrinsic. They are static. They are set in stone. I can't change myself. I can't, if I fail at something, that means I'm a failure. If I lose something, that means I'm a loser. Whereas if you have a growth mindset, you're able to flow a little bit more. Your core is solid and you're also clay. You're a little bit more malleable. Hey, you know what? I'm not that great at carpentry, but I can get better at it. Hey, you know what? I'm not that good at doing a kickflip. Most of the time I can't do it, but if I go enough to the actual skate park, I can learn and get better. And it's like, if you have a growth mindset, a failure or a loss doesn't actually mean you're a failure or a loser. It means I have failed this one time. I'm now taking this information and trying to do something better with it. How do I get stronger? How do I get faster? How do I address things? Weirdly, athletes just kind of know this naturally as a natural part of just competition. It's only the damn counselors and whoever else who need to actually read a book about this. Now, let's add another component to an already complicated concept. Toxic men want their enemies to succeed. I am a person who has his stuff together in a funeral. I am a person who is really good in an emergency. I'm a person who people will pay my full rate to talk about their trauma with, because I'm so good at actually engaging with it and it leading to enlightenment and healing. Wonderful. What happens when everyone's calm and happy? Oh, right. There's nothing to fix. There's no enemy to fight against. Suddenly, no one cares about me. Now, I already talked about this in a previous video. If everyone gets mentally well enough where my profession, counseling, is gone, yay. We have reached a level of societal enlightenment that is absolutely wonderful, and let's just revel in it. And I'll have to start a Mostly fans or something. That's fine. But if you're a person with a fixed mindset, if you're toxic, if you don't have a core of iron and gold, what you want is an enemy to constantly be fighting against. You want someone or something to prove your value, prove your worth. It's like that one news report about the firefighters who didn't have any fires, so they started setting fires so they can get the glory of putting the fires out. I was like, that was a thing that happened. I don't remember the town or state, but it was like, right, that is so dumb. And this is this needs to be its own video and blog, but I think that this is a big thing. It's not just I'm really good at facing tragedies and enemies. It is also, if I don't have a tragedy or enemy or something to fix, I am useless and I am going to be rejected and I'm going to be unloved. It's like, yeah, terrible. So, recognize what's going on internally. Are you a person who can take a loss? Are you a person who can take a failure and be like, this sucks and I'm frustrated and I'm even very jealous? But that's okay. I still love myself and this is me learning. Or are you the kind of person who's like, that guy won, I now hate that guy and everything he stands for because now I feel like a failure. Now I feel like a loser. And if you're the second one, maybe we need some healing here. Maybe we need some vulnerability and some acceptance of our own clay, our own softness. I am defeatable, soft, fluffy, just like every other gorilla on the rock. And maybe it's time for you to accept that too.